Hi guys, again to the third instance in the free part of the Icecrown Citadel 5-mans. In this video I will not be tanking because I spent 4 hours in here I think on Saturday night trying this with a pug who couldn't do it. So we made a guild run and we're doing it here, and this is my first time going through the instance on heroic. Just to tell you guys, by the way, there's an exceedingly long opening sequence to this boss fight. Really, it's a continuous boss fight. The first two mobs, it's continuous. You can't stop it. It's kind of like Violent Hold. Violent Hold. Well, that's really weird. Violet Hold. We are standing behind the second boss, who's called Morwyn, in this alcove here. The reason we stand in the alcove is because the mobs spawn all around the room. It can be very difficult to pick them up. So what we do is we have our tank in front of the mobs. They all aggro on him because he's the closest, and everyone else is behind here to get line of sight, so the casters all run towards the tank. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the mobs. Kill order, mage, initially, because the mage does a ridiculous amount of damage. When the mage gets to 50%, it will actually split and do a ridiculous amount of damage that way. And after that, after the mage is dead, kill a priest if it's up to stop healing, and after that kill mercenaries, because mercenaries can do a lot of damage by stunning a tank and having the tank being hit with almost no damage reduction. Now, once you've killed 5 split waves, you will actually be fighting Faldrick, and I'm actually going to slow the video down a little bit now so we can talk about Faldrick for a little bit. Now, Faldrick, if I can find the information on Faldrick here. No, he's not Faldrick, he's Falric. The abilities he has are Quivering Strikes, which is a melee range strike, which deals damage on an enemy, taking a lot of damage and reducing the target's chance to dodge. This is tied in the tank and can do a lot of damage over time. Another ability called Impending Despair. This is a magic debuff. Make sure this is dispelled quite quickly, because if it lasts the entire range, which is 6 seconds, the player who has been cast will actually be horrified for 6 seconds and be unable to move whatsoever and be out of the fight, which is not a good thing because this is actually a DPS race. The other ability he does is Defiling Horror, which is a yell, which actually sends people skittering around the room afraid. This does 4,000 damage per 1 second, and does do a lot of damage, so make sure your healer can heal everyone up after this point of the fight. The other abilities he does is, as the fight goes on, progressively your damage and health will actually be reduced by 25% each time, so you have to kill him quickly, otherwise you will be unable to kill him, basically. And that's it for this fight, and we're going to speed it up again. Okay, once Faldrick's down, you've got a slight time to res anyone up and heal up and drink and stuff. You immediately run back behind this part here. Make sure to do the same thing as you did in the first pull. The only difference actually now is you will actually get 2 pulls where you will actually get 6 mobs. And yes, guys, if you're wondering, it is a really, really difficult part of this dungeon. It's quite frankly the hardest dungeon in Raftleaching at the moment. It's a step above the Pit of Saron and the Forge of Souls, so I'd really suggest not trying to pug this. Of course, after a while, pugs will be able to do it, but really, right now, you're just going to get in a lot of trouble if you try to pug this instance. Well, at least don't pug using a random dungeon finder. Try and get people who know what they're doing. Don't go on gear, because gear really doesn't make that much of a difference. It's really about whether your DPS can kill required mobs, can interrupt, and can make sure to stay below on aggro, because basically if you pull aggro off the tank here, you're going to wipe the entire room, because you've got no chance of resing up between pulls, because they spawn almost instantly. We tried to res up. The only way you can res anyone up, basically, is by using a Druid Res. And we're actually going to slow down the fight again so we can talk about Marwyn. So let's do this. Okay, now this boss is like Faldrick in a number of ways. He does a lot of damage to the tank. He will use a Well of Corruption on the floor, move out of it because it does a lot of damage, I think. If you get hit by the Well of Corruption, you will take a Corrupted Touch, which increases the shadow damage taken by 30%. On Heroic it's 75%, so that can be pretty bad if you are hit by it, because it means you might die from the boss. Corrupted Flesh, this is a ability which corrupts the flesh of nearby enemies, reducing the maximum health by 50. It reduces the health by half, really. So when this happens, make sure your healer's watching out, because your DPS can die, and your tank can die actually from this fight. But really, compared to Faldrick, this guy is actually much easier. The other ability he does is called Shared Suffering, which deals 16k to a random person. However, do not dispel this, because it splits the remaining damage that the person has to take to the rest of the party, so you actually can kill your party by doing this. And we're going to speed it up now, because we're actually going to be continuing the instance and fighting the Lich King. We're not really fighting the Lich King. Okay guys, after you've killed Morwen now, what you do is you run back into this little gateway here, this little pathway. You will meet a Frostworn General, which will do a relatively okay amount of damage to the tank. It's not that low, but it's perfectly healable. And you will also summon copies of everyone in your party, even named copies, which is like the final boss in Ancanet. They're not as hard as the final things in Ancanet. They don't do as much damage, and you can kill them easily. Okay, once you've killed the Frostworm General, you run up and you meet Jaina kicking the shit of the Lich King, but Jaina is at really low health, so it's not really kicking the shit, it's more like losing. You do a lot of damage to the Lich King. Jaina will then freeze the Lich King for a little bit of time. You talk to Jaina then, as we didn't, obviously, which was pretty stupid of us, and I probably shouldn't have kept that in the recording, because it doesn't make us look very clever now, does it? What happens, what you do is you talk to Jaina, and it'll start the event where the Lich King will run after us, and we have to run away from the Lich King, making sure the Lich King does not get to us, because if he does get to us, we will die. Horribly, in fact. Now, this is a boss, but it really is a series of ad waves again. I really don't like this instance, because it really is just a massive series of ad waves. It's like Hyjal all over again. Now, what he will do is 3 times he will summon a block of ice, and you'll have to kill an ad wave before you're allowed to pass. One of the ad waves are Raging Ghouls. These are normal mobs, non-elite. These can be killed easily, they don't do that much damage. The other 2 mobs he will summon are Witch Doctors and Abominations. The killing order, by the way, is Witch Doctor, then Abomination. The Witch Doctors do Shadow Bolt, Shadow Bolt Volley, and Curse of Doom. They do a lot of damage, so that's the reason you kill those quickly. After you've killed a Risen Witch Doctor, after you've killed all the Risen Witch Doctors that spawn, you then go on to Lumbering Abominations. Make sure your melee and range are behind them, because they do a cleave, they can kill them, and the last thing you want halfway through this chase scene to be owned by the Lich King, basically, because you were too slow. So basically this instance has a gear requirement. It's not that high a gear requirement, but if you don't have the DPS to pump in, there's a minimum DPS requirement. If you don't meet that, you will not survive. Now, as you can see here, we just managed to survive the Lich King. The Lich King is killing Jaina, really, and before Jaina is allowed to perish, the Skybreaker comes, blasts the Lich King. The Lich King, however, is immune to it. Well, not immune, it wouldn't do that much damage. So they collapse the cave around him. And if you're wondering, I don't think the Lich King dies by that. The Lich King can't die that easily. He's undead and he's all powerful. So thank you for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video, and I hope to see you in the next video I do. Whatever one, I don't really mind. Peace out.